Are we being watched right now? From the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep, are our every move and every word being monitored by some unseen entity? It's a scary thought, but it's not new. In fact, the idea of a surveillance state has been around for a long time. And one of the most chilling predictions of a surveillance state came from the mind of George Orwell in his book 1984. In this video, we'll explore how the predictions in 1984 have come true in the 21st century and how our lives are being monitored more than ever before. In the year 1949, George Orwell published a book that would change the way people thought about government surveillance forever. The book was called 1984, and it told the story of a future where the government monitored every move its citizens made. The next passage of the same book says on page 6, "The telescreen received and transmitted simultaneously. Any sound that Winston made, above the level of a very low whisper, would be picked up by it. Moreover, so long as he remained within the field of vision which the metal plaque commanded, he could be seen as well as heard." Orwell's book predicted that the government would use mass surveillance to control its citizens, and that prediction has come true in the 21st century. Governments around the world use CCTV cameras, internet tracking, and social media monitoring to keep tabs on their citizens. This is a passage from the trial by Franz Kafka, page 6. "The door of his office was open. One could see the entrance hall, where the other guards were sitting at their desks. One guard, whose face was already familiar to K, sat at the entrance desk, idly turning the pages of a ledger." Back to a passage from 1984, page 5. "The telescreen was still shouting the news from the other side of the room. He thought of the telescreen with its never-sleeping ear. They could spy upon you night and day, but if you kept your head you could still outwit them." One of the most chilling predictions from Orwell's book was the use of telescreens to monitor citizens. These devices were essentially televisions that could watch and listen to everything a person did. Back to a passage from 1984, page 6. "Behind Winston's back the voice from the telescreen was still babbling away about pig iron and the overfulfillment of the 9th three-year plan. The telescreen received and transmitted simultaneously." In the 21st century, we live in a world where surveillance is everywhere. From CCTV cameras on street corners to internet tracking by governments and corporations, our every move is monitored. Back to a passage from 1984, page 5. "It was not possible to listen to the telescreen with any degree of safety. By leaning to one side Winston could read, seated facing it, he could not move without the risk of a violent jerk." So, the question we have to ask ourselves is, how much of our privacy are we willing to sacrifice in exchange for safety? Or are we even aware of the extent of the surveillance that surrounds us? As Orwell's book warned us, the rise of mass surveillance is the beginning of the end of our freedom.